Hello everybody, this is Brian Javelin of the Contractor Show, and many of our viewers, both homeowners as well as contractors, have been asking us about conflict resolution, specifically how to avoid conflicts as well as how to resolve them if they do happen between homeowner and contractor. And I'm happy to report today that we have Andrea Goldman of the Law Office of Andrea Goldman from Boston, Massachusetts, joining us here today to help us address some of these issues. Andrea, thank you very much for joining us and our audience.
Thank you for inviting me.
To begin with, Andrea, what is the one thing that you would like to tell people to simply avoid talking to lawyers in general and having the homeowner and contractor set up a situation where there simply won't be a need to consult someone in your profession?
Well, if I could advise homeowners and contractors to do one thing to avoid problems, that would be to have all change orders in writing. I would say that 80% of misunderstandings could be completely avoided if every single time the homeowner wanted a change or the contractor found that a change was necessary, if they would commit it to writing and both sign off on it, and also note down how much more it's going to cost and how much more time the change order is going to add to the contract.
Okay. If people follow this suggestion and still have a dispute that they simply can't resolve, what is the best way to begin to resolve it without litigation?
Well, hopefully the homeowner and the contractor are going to have established a good pattern of communication between the two of them. The homeowner should have the ability to check in with the contractor. Hopefully the contractor will have given them a cell phone number, and the contractor should be able to reach the homeowner as well. And if there's regular communication going on, then hopefully problems won't arise, or they won't become so huge that either side feels like they can't address the problem.
Okay. Well, we all know, we like to hear that if you don't fix this problem, I'm going to sue you. It seems to be a very common thing in today's society where that just becomes a threat. And if either person begins to say that, whether it's the contractor to homeowner or homeowner to contractor, tell us a little bit about the time and effort that goes into this when people begin to take it to the next level beyond being able to resolve it amongst themselves.
Well, once you say I'm going to sue you, you're really skipping over a number of initial steps that should be taken to avoid a lawsuit altogether. First of all, if you say to someone I'm going to sue you, there's an immediate breakdown in communication and barrier to communication between the parties. So what you want to have happen is, if the parties feel like they can't speak to each other directly, whoever has the problem should be writing a demand letter to the other party, spelling out exactly what the problem is and exactly what the solution is that they're seeking. And under Massachusetts law, in order to comply with the home improvement contractor law and get the benefit of that law, you would need to start with a demand letter. But before any of those steps take place, the real place to start to avoid these kinds of disputes is to start out with a good contract. And I don't know if you're going to cover contracts later on, but a contract is really the place to start so that everybody is on the same page and everybody has an understanding of exactly how the project is going to take place.
So it seems that it all begins with what is the upfront commitment and then following it through in a very methodical way, especially if changes are going to be taking place.
Exactly.
Well, is there any time that these upfront commitments, depending on the type of viewer, especially a homeowner viewer out there that might be viewing us today, is there any type of complex circumstances where the upfront commitment even requires either yourself or someone else that is educated enough to understand what the commitment is? You know, if somebody's fixing a sink for $500, nobody cares, but is there a certain threshold that it does become complex enough that there is a requirement for some other outside party to agree to what that upfront commitment is before they continue?
Well, I think you're answering your own question. Obviously, if you're engaging in a project that isn't very expensive or very complicated, there really is no reason to hire a lawyer. Interestingly enough, in Massachusetts, the law requires that if the contract is over $1,000, that it has to be in writing. Now, most contractors aren't going to like this, but I would say that any time a contractor uses a contract, it would be worth his or her while to pay a lawyer to review his contract. In my state, the requirements for contracts are so strict and so specific that it's so easy for a contractor to run afoul of the requirements that he or she could subject himself to double or triple damages, attorney's fees, interest, and costs if a homeowner were to win a claim against him. So it's very important for contractors to always have a lawyer review their contract. From the homeowner side, I think the real measure is how much are you spending and how much can you lose without it being a complete and total disaster for you. You know, if you're doing a $10,000 project and you were never to see that money again, would it be okay? I mean, could you continue and move on with your life? For some people, that $10,000 is their life savings, and they really probably should consult with a lawyer when it comes to planning their contract and planning their project. With others, you know, it might be a drop in the bucket, and in that case, they don't really need to.
You did say review the contract. I don't think you meant to mean it on a case-by-case. I think you meant that the form that they're using for their daily activities, that document that they're handing people, because they might change it on a job-by-job basis, but whatever the terms and conditions are, you're referring to all those basic assumptions within the form that they use on a daily basis?
Right. I mean, in terms of the contractor, you know, I've made a number of contracts for contractors, and they give me their contract, I review it, I add some clauses, I take some out. For example, one of the things that contractors don't realize is they are not automatically entitled to attorney's fees if they have to go after clients for payment. And so maybe a homeowner might owe you $8,000 and they're refusing to pay you, and you want to go after them for the money, and you could end up spending $3,000 to $5,000 on an attorney just to get that money. So it really is necessary for contractors to put an attorney's fees clause in the contract.
Well, Andrea, tell our audience a little bit about the difference of contracts that are based on time and materials as opposed to fixed pricing.
Well, nowadays I'm seeing two kinds of contracts when people come to see me. The fixed price contract is the more standard form for a contract where a homeowner will submit a list of what they would like to have done for the project, and then the contractor comes up with a proposal. That's actually easier for homeowners because then they can make a comparison between bids and know whether the person is offering a fair price. With time and materials contracts, what happens is either the homeowner or the contractor will buy the materials, and the contractor may tack on a percentage to the cost of the materials, and then the contractor charges an hourly rate for the labor. So usually the invoicing is more frequent for time and materials, and the contractor may feel at the end of the day that it's a cheaper course for the homeowner to follow, but it is a more risky kind of arrangement for the homeowner.
Okay. Well, for you homeowners as well as contractors out there that would like to further elaborate on these topics, Andrea has a website. It's called AndreaGoldmanLaw.com. That there's a blog available that discusses all the different aspects of this, again, both from the contractor's perspective as well as the homeowner's perspective. My name again is Brian Javelin of The Contractor Show. Andrea, we thank you very much for joining everyone here today, and we look forward to seeing you soon.